Okay, so this masterclass is going to be about how to live an aligned life and constantly move towards your authentic direction. So I'm going to share a little bit about me. I'm an undergraduate student studying in Singapore. My friends describe me as energetic, positive, cheerful, and crazy. I felt that because of life experiences, I've had to grow up relatively faster. And so I started getting this really deep inclination into spirituality and maturity. I deeply connected with my soul. And over the last 2 to 3 years, I started finding my authentic direction in life and changing my belief system. So, what I mean by that is the belief system I grew up with was not serving me in any way. I always followed what everyone else was doing, but that wasn't really me. I didn't enjoy life. I was doing things that I really didn't like to do, but I forced myself into doing it, thinking that it was the right direction for me. And now I realize, like looking back, that I feel like I spent many years trying to do something that was living someone else's life and not really my life, which is why now I'm on a mission to help other people live an authentic life and find their true calling. Because I think when we haven't found our true calling, these questions like why am I here, like what's my purpose, what am I here to do, they bother us a lot. And once we actually figure a few things out in life, it's not like we always have things figured out, but once we figure out our strengths and our purpose in life, it gives us a lot of we live in alignment, and it gives us a lot of peace and calm. So I think that's the kind of lifestyle I've been living in the past 4 to 5 months since Jan this year. I finally figured out that coaching is something I want to venture into. And 8 months ago or 9 months ago, my goals were completely different. So they were very oriented to like what my peers in university were doing. And I thought that was the path I had to take. But I realized that it was just making me unhappy day by day because it wasn't truly what I wanted to do. So yeah, this is the kind of flow state I want to help people achieve. I want to help people connect with their souls and then take action towards their soul-led goals on a day-to-day basis. And when I say flow state, what I mean is that it's a balance between doing something that really piques your interest as well as something that challenges you. So it's not something that's going to be extremely easy, but it's something that's a good balance between your interest and challenge. So it motivates you to like work on a daily basis. So these are a few questions. I'm not sure if you guys have thought about these questions, but these are a few questions I started asking myself a few years ago. So are you living the life you've always wanted, or have you settled into the status quo? And my answer to this was I've settled in the latter, which is that I've settled into the norm, because I was doing what everyone else was doing. And now when it's coming close to like me graduating from university, there's no clear roadmap. And that's when I really started thinking for myself, like, what do I actually want from life? Because if I follow what I've already always done and always followed, I'm going to reach the place where all my peers are going to go. And do I want to go there? Not saying that that's not a good place to be in. It's just that would that make me happy? Would that make my soul happy? So those were like the kind of questions I started asking. And the second question is, do you believe you were put on this planet for a higher reason or calling? So the reason I asked this question is because I, on a daily basis, felt like there was something more to life, like something was missing. And if you feel that way or have ever felt that way, like something was missing and you were here another reason, like there's a higher calling to your presence in life, then that means that it's your soul trying to speak to you, and trying to um it's your soul trying to speak to you and ask you for guidance. So basically what we do is that at times like these, we need to ask our higher power for guidance, because there are many times that we act from fear. Like most of our decisions in life are fear based. And when I say fear based, it's coming from your ego and it's not coming from your higher power. When you make decisions from your higher power, they're completely fearless, and those decisions actually serve you in life. Okay, so moving on, y'all can take a screenshot of this if you want, or you can write it down. But here are just 10 questions to ask yourself that will help you deepen your self-awareness. These questions, if you're able to like just sit with yourself for maybe I think half an hour to 40 minutes, right? You can actually get out a lot of in-depth answers to these questions. And once you have those answers, you will be much more clear on your life is going to look like in the future, how you want it to look like, and what kind of goals you should be creating in your life to move towards that life that you want to create for yourself. Because it's completely possible to create our own life. We create our reality, and I don't think that we should settle for living someone else's life, because I feel life's too short. And it's, I mean, that's so cliche to say, but at the same time, if all of us deserve to live an extraordinary life, and all of us are worth that. And if you feel like, something is missing in your life, or that you're not living to your fullest potential, then that's your soul calling you to do more or to be more. When I say do more, I'm not trying to say like be more productive, but it's it's to make actual progress. So the difference between productivity and progress is that productivity is being able to finish more tasks in a day, whereas progress is making a momentum towards your authentic direction. That's what progress is, when you take the steps towards your authentic goals. So here are the 10 questions. You can take a screenshot, or I can send it to you if you want. Just DM me on Instagram. If you had the life you think you want, what would tomorrow be like? If you were doing what you're doing right now, would that take you to the life you've dreamed of? So that's basically a yes or no answer. But to go more in depth, you can ask yourself, if you lived today on repeat forever, where would you be? And this question is so important because a few months ago, I would ask myself this question, and I know where I would be right now, or even of like say 5 years down the line, I knew where I would be, and I didn't want to be there. So I knew that I had to do something different, because I was just following the herd. I was just doing what everyone else was doing. And even though you get a lot of praise for that, because obviously you're following the societal route, you're gonna get praise. People are gonna admire you, if you do well. But that doesn't mean that it's your right direction and your right path if you do what everyone else is doing. There's always, I mean, to follow your authentic path, you have to really dive deep, and you have to like understand yourself, understand your strengths and interests, which is why these questions are so important. So if nobody would know what you did with the rest of your life, what would you do? So this is just to say, like, if nobody would judge you, if nobody would care, then what would you do? If you were dead, what would you regret the most? If you could choose the 5 things that matter to you, what would they be? If you could choose 5 values that you live by, what would they be? To what in life do you feel a subtle, inexplainable nudge? So this question brings out your interest. Like, what do you do for fun that you don't see as something serious? Or it could also be something that you see as serious, but what is it? What is something that you're really interested in? If you knew nobody would judge you, what would you do with your days? So this is again similar to the third question. And what are you struggling with the most right now? And what do you already have going for you in this present moment? So what's going well in your life right now? Maybe you can actually expand on that and bank on that to create something more in your life. Okay, the Prerna just joined. Hi, Prerna. So I'm recording this meeting, and I just wanted to say before I started that if my emails have gone to the junk folder, then just try to move my contact or my messages into your primary, so that in the future it all goes to your primary. Thank you. Okay, going back. What it means to live in alignment is living on purpose, which is refining your why on a day-to-day basis, which means that every activity that you do in life has a why. Like, it has an intrinsic motivation. You're doing it for a deeper reason. And this is important because everything you do takes you to a higher place, right? Like, you're all of us are working to go to move towards our goals. So what are your goals? Are they actually authentic to who you are as a person, or are they goals that you've taken up thinking that they're supposedly good for you? It could also be good for you, but it could also be something that it could be a lie you're telling yourself, it's not necessarily something that's good for you. Because when we take up goals, a lot of time we're pressurized by society and what they think, but that doesn't mean that it's a goal that's authentic to you or that would serve you later in life. So really trying to look at your goals and see which ones serve you and which ones are there just because you feel like your peers are doing it or society said it's a good thing to do. So that's the first point. Living intentionally is again attached to refining your why, right? Living with intent, living authentically and by your values, by your authentic values, living your truth, living on your own terms, and shedding societal expectations. So this is what it means to live in alignment. Now I'll talk about like the perks of living in alignment or the advantages. which are higher productivity and creativity, not comparing your lives to others. You actually stop comparing your lives to others. And I can say this because my life has been a testament to this. I used to compare my life on a daily basis to people in my class in my university. I was always surrounded by super smart people, and I felt like I never felt good enough, which is the fourth point over here, feeling good enough. Once you start living in alignment and you do something that piques your interest as well as connected to one of your strengths, right? It You start feeling like what you're doing is what you're meant to do, and that's the feeling of being good enough, or even living to your fullest potential for that matter. You also have lesser need of external validation. You don't feel like you need validation from others to tell you that you're doing good, because you're on this path and your soul is guiding you. You get the validation from your higher power, which is the best way of receiving validation because it's sustainable. External validation is not sustainable, because on days where you don't feel like you've got enough validation, you go into a downward spiral, or you don't feel good enough again. So it's not a really sustainable way of living. And then not having the feeling of proving anyone wrong, feeling more fulfilled and making progress, which I just described, is making momentum towards your authentic direction. Okay, so now the real question: how do we live in alignment? So there are many ways we can do this, but first and foremost is face your fears and take action. Because when we take action, we're experimenting. When we're facing our fears, also we're experimenting with different things, and that way we'll figure out what's meant for us and what we really don't think we can be in life. There are many roles that are not for each and every one of us, but it doesn't make you any less. It just it's basically you deepening your self-awareness and understanding what is meant for you and what is not meant for you, so it becomes easier to eliminate those goals that you feel are not meant for you, or those goals that are not going to add much value to other people's lives or your life. So what it also does, what facing fears does, is that it puts you in an uncomfortable spot, right? And when you're in an uncomfortable position, you you kind of surprise yourself. Sometimes you do a lot better than you think you would do. So it actually shows you your strengths. It shows you what how you'd react in uncomfortable situations, which you'd never know if you didn't put yourself in that position in the first place. And second is trust and surrender. Living in alignment is not easy. Like once we start living in alignment, we get a lot of fears. We deal with a lot of imposter syndrome, like, am I doing the right thing? And what other people are thinking? Because again, living in alignment might not be in alignment with the societal path, right? So a lot of times you question yourself, because we've all been brought up with the societal conditioning, and once we decide to just move out of it or snap out of it or do something that's more aligned with our interests and our strengths and not the norm, then we start questioning things. We start questioning what we're doing and we're whether we're making any progress in life. So that's point number two. Point number three is again experimenting, which is connected to point number one. But yeah, like just trying to do a lot of different things, but at the same time, there's a tool called Life Book, which I'm not sure if I've spoken about before, but I think I've spoken about them in my stories. So what Life Book does is that it helps you focus on 2 to 3 areas in your life for the next 4 to 6 months. So that way we prioritize which areas of our life we want to focus on, and then we can experiment in those areas. So for example, right now I'm focusing on personal development and career. So with career, I'm experimenting with starting my own coaching business. I'm also experimenting with music on the side as a hobby. So the fourth point is deepen your self-awareness, which is your values, your beliefs, and your fears. And deepening your self-awareness happens through a lot of tools, which I will get into further in the slides. But just to give you a summary, journaling, journaling and reflection are the main tools that have helped me to deepen my self-awareness. But also, again, putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation or taking action will help you deepen your self-awareness. And having consistent self check-ins, so at the end of the day, just checking in with yourself, understanding whether the direction you're going in is your authentic direction, or again, is it something that's fear based. Following your intuition, reading about spirituality and personal growth. A lot of times reading really helps you direct yourself, because okay, something I learned recently is that being lost in life is not a bad thing. And I've always thought that being lost is a bad thing. But I don't, like, after reading this book. It's called 101 Essays on That Will Change the Way You Think. So basically, the book taught me that being lost in life could be a good thing, because it means that you started to shed societal expectations, and you're moving towards figuring out what your soul is calling you for. So that happens when you start living in alignment. You do feel lost sometimes, but that's completely okay, because that's just you figuring it out. And then there's belief reversal practices. This is really interesting. I have pointers to this, which is again going to come in the further slides. And managing your emotions and healing. So healing is a huge part of living in alignment, and you can heal through these belief reversal practices. So I'll be going into that. Our subconscious mind is the key to success, and you can reprogram it. So how do we reprogram our subconscious mind? So before we reprogram our subconscious mind, there are three really important prerequisites. It's called a VCR framework. I just made it up, but what it means is that V stands for having a clear vision. That is deciding what you want right now and in the future. That's really important to reprogram your subconscious, so you know which direction you're moving towards. Number two is commitment and consistency, which is ridding your mind of any fear and self-doubt through affirmations, through gratitude journaling, as well as action, taking action in spite of all the fear. And lastly is resolve. What beliefs are working for you versus what beliefs aren't working for you. So understanding that, because that's how you can reprogram your mind. Once you understand what beliefs serve you, you start using them to reprogram your mind. So now we're going to do a short exercise. If you guys can, do you know there's this I don't know how to say it, but there's this, I think it's under emotion, where you can put like a tick mark or a cross, or you know what, just raise your hand if you have these beliefs, basically. Yeah, that's the easiest, because we've always done raising hands, so let's just stick to that. Okay, so I'm going to move towards the beliefs, and then if you have the following beliefs, then just put your hand up. Good things come to those who wait. So if this is something you actually believe in, raise your hand. Actually, I believe in it too, so let me try raising my hand. Okay, so we have Ruhan and Sheetal auntie. Okay, the second one, which is life is hard. Okay, so Ruhan and Sheetal auntie again. And Vidhi. Yeah, I believe in it too. I can only be happy once I've achieved my goals. Do you believe in this? Okay. The next one, if I do what I love, I'll have to sacrifice complete financial freedom. This one's super common. Wait, where's my hand? Okay. Yeah, a lot of people believe in this. Like a lot of my friends believe in this too. Okay, next one. Money doesn't grow on trees. Okay. Money is the root of all evil. Actually, I don't think I believe in this. No pain, no gain. Yeah, I believe in this too. Okay, so this is the last one. This is my favorite. It's a positive belief system. It's a positive way of thinking, which is every rejection is a redirection. So Mark Manson, if you believe in this, then that's great. That's the best way to deal with rejection, is having this perspective. Mark Manson actually described rejection in a very cool way, which is the awful feeling when life is sorting out what is, who and what is right for you, and who and what is not right for you. So I think that really applies to literally every aspect of your life. Okay, so basically to change your beliefs, right, you don't have to adopt a new line of thinking. Rather, you just need to seek experiences that make that thinking self-evident. Also, thanks guys for participating. Okay, so you just need to seek experiences that make that thinking self-evident. So what this means is creating evidence for your empowering belief system, which I'll go into more in depth. So let's talk about the 5 tips on how to reprogram your subconscious mind. adopting empowering beliefs through research and experiences. So, okay, let me give you an example. I'm not going to go into storytelling, but let me try giving you an example. So, for example, a lot of people have started businesses at a very young age, and those have been extremely successful. But there's a lot of fear in society that when you start really young, you haven't experienced all the mistakes and failures that you can make, and so you're more bound to fail than if you had work experience. So that's a belief system I've grown up with. And obviously, starting right now, I'm still in university, but even the fact that I started my own business, I've had a lot of people come to me out of concern and out of love, I'm sure, but come to me with the fear that, you're more likely to fail because you haven't had the work experience. But at the same time, the way I try to make myself confident in my own business and in my own venture at this point in life, because right now the reason I want to take this part is because my soul has pushed me to take this part. And I know that might sound like, oh, how do you know? It's one of those things where you follow your intuition and you go with your gut. And that's what I did, and which is why I started my own business. But at the same time, I read a lot of articles on people who have started their own businesses right after college, after graduation, without work experience, and who've been super successful. So that way, I'm training my subconscious to believe in the fact that it's possible to be successful even when you start a business young, and there's no reason why I shouldn't be successful. So that's one of the ways I read a lot of research articles, because I feel like when I read real stories, it helps me see the truth in life, that it is possible. And also experiences. So when I say experiences, it's again putting yourself out of your comfort zone, because there are many times when you can surprise yourself and find that evidence that you're worth more than you think, that you're capable more than you think. Yeah, I one of the experiences was I recently went for scuba diving, even though I'm really scared of scuba diving, but I still went for it. And on the first day, I couldn't do it because I had sinus issues. But on the second day, I pushed myself a little further and I was able to do it. And I did 5 successful dives. And that whole experience showed me that my mind was going on a complete downward spiral, and I was lying to myself. Like, I was telling myself that I might never be certified, I might never be a scuba diver. But all those were lies, because the next day itself I was able to do everything. So what I'm trying to say is that our mind, most of our thoughts, 90% of our thoughts are fear based, and they're just trying to, it's a defense mechanism. It's kind of precautionary and protective. But the bad thing about that is that it really prevents us from venturing into the unknown and facing our fears. And when we face our fears, we create this evidence to build empowering belief systems. And then that further pushes us to face our fears again. And then we build those empowering belief systems again, which again pushes us to face our fears. So it's like a cycle. And the second point is focus on gratitude. So basically, gratitude journaling, this is something I do on a daily basis. It's very easy. Like, I honestly wake up and I open the notes on my phone and I type 5 things that I'm grateful for or I'm looking forward for in the day to day. So that really helps me start the day on a good note, because honestly, sometimes I wake up feeling really like grumpy. I'm not a morning person. So waking up and then writing 5 things that I'm grateful for, even in the past or the present, really helps me. And number 3 is, also for point 2, like after a few months, when you look back to all, like everything you've written in your gratitude journal, you'll feel so good. Like, I've actually looked back to my gratitude journal and I'm like, wow, I have so much to be grateful for. But our human mind rarely looks at that side of it. It rarely looks at the greener side of the grass, which is again a defense mechanism of our mind. Point number 3 is watch your environment. So when I say watch your environment, who are you surrounding yourselves with? What kind of content are you taking in on a daily basis? It's very important to reprogram your subconscious. It might not make a difference to you in life, like while you're living life, but subconsciously, it really affects your belief system. Watching our words and our self-talk. So this is really important because we say things that we don't even mean. So sometimes, like, if someone's like really pissing us off, we tell them stuff like, you're driving me crazy, like, something like that. But basically, what I mean is that our words can create our reality. And when we when we use our words to even exaggerate, like a lot of times people say, it was so hard, I died. Using those words are not benefiting us in any way. And I know it's an exaggeration, but at the same time, our words do create a reality. Like it has um, feelings attached to it. So we need to be very careful of the kind of words we speak, and also the way we talk to ourselves. Are we talking to ourselves harshly, or are we talking to ourselves with love and kindness? So that just to like identify that tape recorder in your mind and what you're telling yourself when you're going down a downward spiral is very important, because that self talk can get you out of a bad place. And to be honest, you can't always rely on someone else to support you or help you. So when you have a strong self talk and when you create a strong mindset, it's easier to pull yourself back out of a bad place on your own, which is why it's sustainable. And point number 5, which is visualization for at least 10 to 15 minutes a day, is the minimum that's recommended. And the reason is, when we visualize, we need to go into using our 5 senses. So make sure that your visualization is very vivid to you and you're feeling it. Like make it very specific. Talk about what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're smelling. That way, the way to figure out how your visualization is working for you is when you get like a tingly feeling or you feel a little excited. That means that that's the right way of visualizing, because you're actually feeling it. You're feeling that situation of, I don't know, success, abundance, whatever it is that you're visualizing. Okay, so how do you know that living in alignment is working? How do you know that you are living in alignment? Oh, wait, no. How do you know that you have reprogrammed your subconscious mind? Sorry. So, yeah, you're becoming more self aware. So, when you become more self aware, it means that that's one of the prerequisites also to leading to living a more aligned life, as well as reprogramming your subconscious mind. You take more risks, you attract positivity, and you feel more content. So all this happens out of reprogramming your subconscious mind and replacing those limiting beliefs with more empowering ones. Okay, so this is super important. This is how do you create that evidence, which I also spoke about, to contradict your limiting beliefs. So any belief systems that you have right now, which you feel, okay, so money is the root of all evil, was one of the belief systems that we went through, right? And many of us did believe in that. That is obviously a limiting belief, because as long as we believe that, it is going to be the root of evil in our life. As long as we believe that life is hard, life is going to be hard. So in order to change these belief systems around, we need to take action so that we can surprise ourselves. Like, for example, I spoke about my scuba diving journey, right? So when I took that action, I didn't expect to be able to do it, to be honest. But when I did it, I surprised myself. And now I have this belief system that my mind is like, there's a lot of fear in my mind, and I can overcome it by just taking action. So that's one of the belief system I created through this experience. Number 2 is reading up on success stories. Like, as I said, when you read up on other people's successes, you feel like it's a possibility in your life too. And then connecting with a like-minded community. So whatever it is that has piqued your interest in life or something that you're interested in, try to find more people in that same community, whether that's on LinkedIn. I find a lot of people on LinkedIn who are coaches just like me, or whether that's on Instagram or Facebook, whichever social media you want to use. I mean, now is like the best time we're living in, because social media has never been this expansive. We can use it to our advantage. So make sure you use the social media apps you have to connect with like-minded people, and that will give you the push and motivate you to move towards your goals and overcome any limiting beliefs that you may have. Also, talking to someone who's in the same field as you, who would have probably experienced the same, limiting belief systems as you, really helps, because they talk to you about how they overcame it, and how the limiting beliefs that we have are fear based. They're all coming from fear. And lastly is reflect on your experiences. So when we reflect on our past experiences, we actually see patterns of, okay, so for example, rejection is redirection, right? So that's a belief system that we want to have. When we look at our past experiences, sometimes when you say, I'm applying for internships, okay, and I've got rejected from one company, but literally 1 week later I get accepted into a bigger company, or a company that's more aligned with what I was looking for, a role that was more aligned with me. When I look at these patterns, I'm like, hey, the universe is actually rooting for me. I mean, thank God I didn't get into the other company, because I got into something better and something more suited for my abilities. So that way, when you look back and you reflect, you actually realize that things do happen for your higher good, even though it doesn't seem like it at that point of time in life. So reflecting on your experiences gives you a positive outlook in your life, and it helps you contradict your limiting beliefs. Okay, so this statement, how intrinsically motivated people become the best versions of themselves, is really important, because what society tries to do is it tries to keep us extrinsically motivated, and it works on capitalism, right? So what it does is that when is society efficient? When everyone's working through extrinsic motivation, and we're doing things that we're supposed to do, we're meant to do, but not something that we actually want to do. So when we come from a place of a soul, like when we come from our soul's calling, right, when we listen to our soul, when we dive into our intuition, we're intrinsically motivated in what we're doing. When you live in alignment, you actually find yourself, like as I said, one of the perks is being more productive and more motivated. So that's coming from within. So that way you become the best version of yourself, and that's not something that society can help you with. That's something that you have to dive deep within yourself and figure it out. And the way you do it is, again, is number one is to healing your past and moving ahead from your past, and also deepening your self-awareness. I think those questions that I mentioned initially will really help you go deep within. Like, give yourself some time, sit with yourself alone and answer those questions, and I think you'll have a lot more clarity. And to be honest, I also do personality tests. I believe that they've helped me a lot in the past, but there have been a lot of articles that go against personality tests, but I feel like they still give you some vague picture of your personality. So if you're into personality tests, then try MBTI. I think it'll give you some kind of understanding, if not a very specific one. It still moves you closer to understanding yourself better. Okay, so this is a little heavy. So are you guys okay? Do you all need a break? What time is it? It's 11:50. Okay. Just let me know if you guys are okay so we can move into this, because this one's a little heavy. Let me know in the chat. Okay, if everyone's okay, I'm going to move into the belief reversal therapy. Okay, thanks, Sheetal Auntie. Okay, so what happens in a belief reversal therapy is that when you're in a moment of anger, frustration, any of these negative feelings, right? Ask yourself ask yourself this question, which is, do you want to be happy and free, or do you want to be right? In a lot of situations, we try to prove ourselves right, and that comes from a place of ego and not from our soul. It's like from a place of being self-centered rather than being soul-centered. So for this, oh wait, you can't see me. Sorry, my phone charge went, so I can't do anything about that. But okay, wait, okay, let's just go back. So yeah, so belief reversal therapy is basically, you use this when you're in a negative place, when you're not feeling yourself, or when you're feeling one of the low vibrating emotions. So what you do is that you ask yourself this question: do you want to be happy and free, or do you want to be right? Because generally, for example, say you've gotten into an argument with someone, this is one of the most important questions to ask yourself, to recalibrate and center yourself. Because a lot of times, way into the argument, we're just trying to prove ourselves right rather than wanting to free ourselves from our argument. And that is coming from a place of ego. What is upsetting you in this moment? Be very specific. What about the other person, or what about the situation is upsetting you? Number three, what do I want from this person, and what do I not want? It could be a person, or it could also be a situation. It doesn't have to be a person. Number four is, what story or narrative are you telling yourself about this? So a lot of times we're lying to ourselves. Like, for example, say I got into a fight with one of my best friends. A lie that I could be telling myself is, I lied to myself thinking I knew the full truth. I lied to myself thinking I knew her side of the story. Because a lot of times we feel like we know everything about a situation, but that's not true. We might not know many things about our situation, but our ego tries to push us to telling ourselves that, I know everything about a situation and I've got this, I can handle it. But that's how we add fuel to the fire. So this way we can take a step back from whatever situation is troubling us or bothering us, and actually ask ourselves these questions to understand whether we're actually lying to ourselves. So a lot of times I've lied to myself saying that I know the other person's perspective, I know where the other person is coming from. but we can never truly know anyone else's struggles or stories. So that's a lie a lot of us tell ourselves. And self-seeking behaviors is basically, what do you do when you're upset, or what do you do to get relief from whatever it is that you're feeling? So it could be, say I'm feeling frustrated, right? What helps me get out of it? At that moment, like when I'm fighting, probably like screaming at that person back would help me get my frustration out, but that's not really a healthy way. So by identifying our self-seeking behaviors, we can change them and move them towards something that's more healthy for ourselves. So lately I've started walking away from the situation to calm myself down rather than upsetting the other person too. That's a more healthy way of dealing with the situation. Even if it's not another person, say it's a situation where you've gotten rejected from your dream college, or you haven't gotten the job you want, or your boss talks to you badly on a certain day, anything like that, this belief reversal therapy can be used to just reground and recenter yourself so that you cause no harm to the other person or yourself in these situations. So every time your spiritual self gets blocked, it's from a place of fear. You need to understand where this fear stems from. Is it lack of control? Is it the fear of not being understood or not getting work done? These are fears that can put you in a low vibrating state. When I say low vibrating state, I mean a negative emotional state. So trying to understand where that fear is coming from is really important to unblock yourself. Now, point number 7, which is not given on the slide, but what you do after you've done asked yourself these questions, is ask for relief. I haven't spoken about this before, but asking questions from your higher power is really important. My entire life, for about like 3 years, I've woken up every single day and asked, like, why am I here? What's my purpose? What am I here to do? Because I always knew that I was here to serve in a bigger way, but I just didn't know how to get out of my comfort zone and do that. And I didn't know which path to take, which is completely normal. I was lost and I was confused. So I would keep asking my higher power. At that time, I would say God. Right now, I've changed my belief into calling it the universe or the higher power. But I keep asking whatever it is, like God, the higher power, universe, for some relief from the situation. And ask, yeah, so basically, if I have a fear of not being understood, or a fear of being misunderstood, or a fear of other people judging me, I just ask my higher power to help me get out of this, help me overcome my fear of being judged, overcome my fear of not being understood. And doing this over a consistent period of time really helps you connect with your soul. When you connect with your soul, these fears automatically alleviate, they automatically become lesser and lesser in your life. Okay, so moving on to manifestation tips, which is, how do we have a clear vision for our life and manifest that into our reality? So here are a few tips that will really help you. I went through this in my life, so if you missed out on that, you can go back and look at that too, because these tips are so important. Like, they've helped me so much to manifest better, because I always thought manifestation was fluff because it never worked out for me, but now I realize why it hasn't worked out for me. And these tips really helped me manifest better. So what I mean by that is point number 1, which is remembering the future, which basically means that whenever we use the word remembering, we're talking about our past, right? Which means that it's already happened. So when we think of manifestation, we need to think of it like something that's already happened, which is why I use the word remembering the future. It's already happened to you. It already belongs to you. All you're doing is thinking about it. Point number 2, which is planting a seed. So when you plant, it's a metaphor that I'm using to talk about manifestation. So what it means is that when you plant a seed and you water it, we don't overly water a seed, or we don't overly put it into hot sun, right? We give it the right amount, the optimal level of sunlight, the optimal level of water. So that's what you need to do with manifestation. To pressure your manifestation or to overly obsess about what you're manifesting won't take you towards it. It will actually take you further away from it, because you're manifesting from a place of want, and a place of want is a place of lack. The want, like basically wanting something is energy of lack and energy of desperation, which is why it takes you away from your manifestation. Because if you were to believe that you already had what you were manifesting, you wouldn't obsess over it, right? So it goes with point number 1. They go hand in hand, which is, when you're manifesting, always believe that it's something that belongs to you, and it's already happened. It just hasn't come into fruition or just hasn't come into your reality as of now, but it belongs to you. So when you believe that, you stop overly obsessing about it. And point number three is that our mind, which is our subconscious mind, cannot differentiate between what's right and wrong, what's good and bad, what's helpful and unhelpful. It simply just takes it in, which is a great thing. We can use this as a good way or a bad way, but it really depends on what you're telling yourself, right? So on a daily basis, we feed ourselves lies. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough, that we're not capable, we're not worthy. A lot of times I feel like an imposter. I feel like what I'm doing is not, what I'm supposed to be doing, or it's not my true self. And all these are fears. Again, they're all coming from your place of ego. It's coming from a place of fear. So if you're anyways lying to yourself and telling yourself all these fears, which are lies, why not lie to yourself and tell yourself great things? Tell yourself that you're capable of all the success, all the abundance ever. And you know what? You will be capable of it once you keep repeating that, which is why repetition is so important, because our mind learns through repetition. Our subconscious mind takes things in through repetition, and it can't differentiate between what's right and wrong. So ensure that what you're telling your subconscious mind is serving you in the future. Manifestation without action doesn't take you anywhere, but the opposite doesn't either. So what this means is that when you manifest without action, so this is one of the myths which I will talk about in the next slide. But even the other way around, which is taking action and not manifesting, is not going to take you further too. Because what happens is when we manifest, right, we have a clear vision, we have a clear goal that we're working towards. And when we manifest on a daily basis, we are pushing ourselves to work towards that goal on a daily basis. It gives us motivation. So manifesting gives you motivation because it shows you your ideal state. It shows you where you want to be. Lastly is you need to believe it to see it. A lot of people wait to see the manifestation work to believe it, but it's not going to work that way. Only when you believe that it already belongs to you and you already have it, you can see it. So I know this can be very frustrating because manifestation requires infinite amounts of patience, but start with small manifestations. Like, for example, I'm manifesting a free cup of coffee this week. So that way we don't really care about it. Like, we don't care if you get a free cup of coffee or not, so we don't overly obsess about it too. But once you get it, you start believing in the power of manifestation. So on a daily basis, just imagine a free cup of coffee. Like, you've gotten coffee, it's for free, and you're enjoying it. Just imagine, have that visual in your mind. And after that, forget about it. Just completely forget about a manifestation and don't obsess over it at all. Okay, so myths about manifestation. You need to manifest hard. Firstly, there's no thing like you need to, there's nothing like I've manifested so hard. What does that even mean? So when you say you need to manifest hard, that it's not true. There's nothing like that. Number two is you don't have to take action when manifesting. You have to take action when manifesting. For example, if you want to start a social media account for your business, but you don't even create an account, you can't expect momentum to start, right? You can't, if you want to gain 10,000 followers on social media in the next 3 months and you still haven't created your social media account, it's obviously not going to happen. So when you manifest, you actually motivate yourself to take that action, and it's called inspired action because it inspires you to move towards your authentic direction. Every thought you think becomes things. So again, this isn't true because every thought it's our most predominant emotion or our most predominant state of being is what we manifest. There can be days where we all have bad days, we all slip into a downward spiral, but it doesn't mean that we're manifesting everything negative we're thinking. So don't worry about it. Like, just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it's going to come into fruition or it's going to become your reality. Your predominant emotion and feeling is what is going to be your reality. So even if you have a few bad days and you're not feeling it, or you go into a downward spiral, it's not going to become your reality. So don't worry about that. You get better with practice. So there's nothing like practicing manifestation. Even if you're a beginner manifestation, you can do it well as long as you know how to do it correctly. You have no limits to what you can manifest. There are certain limits to what you can manifest based on where you are in life and based on your circumstances. Okay, so more about my story. We've come to the end of this masterclass almost. I'm just going to go through a little bit more of my story and also my offer if you guys are interested. Okay, so I basically always manifested being an entrepreneur. Like it was some far-fetched dream. I really thought being an entrepreneur was like going to happen like years down the line. But I already consider myself an entrepreneur right now. I created a life where I wake up excited every morning to work. Basically, the past 2 months, right? I've had like summer vacations. I'm not doing anything but giving all my time into my business, and it's been super fulfilling. I've definitely had struggles, but at the same time, it's been really fulfilling to just do something out of choice and out of my authentic calling. All this started with spending alone time and really understanding what excites me. I think COVID gave me a lot of alone time, and that's how I figured out that I wanted to do coaching. I would basically say that if you're still figuring out what it doesn't have to be one thing, right? There could be multiple things that excite us, there could be multiple things that we're passionate about. So if you feel like something's missing in life and you want to move towards something, or you know that there's something going well for you and you want to pursue that, just ask your higher self or God for guidance and for support on whatever it is that you're working towards. And do this on a daily basis. Like it could be a particular time of the day, it could be when you wake up, right before you go to sleep, while you're brushing, in the shower, whenever you feel like you'll remember to do this on a daily basis. It's going to be consistent, but ensure you do this every single day. Ask for support and ask for guidance from your higher power, because I'll be super honest with you, but most of the world works from fear. We all work from our mind, we all work from fear, and it's a very, like, just a handful of people have connected spiritually, have connected to their higher calling, and have been able to experience that deep fulfillment. All this starts with really understanding yourself first. So for me, during COVID especially, I experimented with music, I experimented with books, writing, podcasting, and then I found what I love the most. And what I loved and I still love is talking to people, learning about their stories, and helping them in whatever capacity I can, which is why coaching seemed really perfect for me. I also asked the universe for years, every single morning, why am I here? How can I best serve? What is my purpose? Please help me help others. I was obsessed with how can I help others the best way I can? Like, how can I put my value out there in the best way possible? So I kept asking. And lastly, I developed my niche in purpose and clarity coaching that helps new entrepreneurs develop their true calling and hit their aligned goals within 90 days. So I basically help people to hit their goals within 3 months. So I work with clients for in a coaching container for around 3 months. But I also do intensives, which are one-on-one coaching for 4 to 6 hours, which can be split into 2 different days. So for example, if you take the 4-hour coaching, it would be 2 hours on one day and 2 hours on the next day. And here are some testimonials from people who've done the intensive as well as the free empowerment call. If you guys still want to talk more about this, then you can definitely like click the link in my bio on Instagram for a free empowerment call with me. So basically, my first client, I helped her with her business strategy, where she felt like she was doing everything she could, but realizing the importance of mindset and energy and how you show up in your business changes a lot. Like it changes the kind of clients you attract, because it really depends on the kind of energy you're going in with. Because even now, like the kind of energy I'm with on this call is transferring to everyone on this call. I'm sure you can feel my energy in some way or the other. Like I started this call being pretty nervous, not gonna lie. But now I feel a little more confident because I've spoken for a bit of time and I've got more comfortable. So I feel like energy is a super important part of any strategy. It's the foundation. I would say it's half any business strategy. So that's what we spoke about, which is why that testimonial. And it also, basically, these calls also helped give people more clarity on their vision and goals, because I used the tool, which is Lifebook, which I spoke about earlier. If you want to know more about Lifebook, just DM me and I can send you a link, or we can also talk about it. So what I do is I have 3 pillars, which is deepening self-awareness and clearing out your mindset blockages through belief reversal therapy, which is what we spoke about, the belief reversal practice. Wait, let me just. Yeah, this one. So basically, these are 6 questions, and the last being asking for relief. So we do that over the 3 months in our coaching container to help you really clear out any mindset blockages you have and heal from your past. The second point is helping you with practices to rewire your subconscious mind through tried and tested methods, whether that's through manifestation, affirmations, or even taking the action to create evidence to form more empowering belief systems in your life. And the last one is laying out an authentic 90-day roadmap for you so you can build a life on your own terms. So this is basically to help people or clients who are looking for building goals that are more authentic to themselves and not wasting time on goals that are not meant for them. Okay, so that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this masterclass. Okay, those were like 30 slides. I feel like this was the maximum number of slides I created. Let me just stop share. And if you guys need any resources, then just feel free to DM me on Instagram. Thank you so much for your time here. It's been exactly an hour, but I started 10 minutes late. So it's been about 55 minutes. But thank you so much for your time here. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me either on Instagram or you can ask me over here. Anything is okay. Thank you so much.